If you are in leadership, you have been through at least one kind of communications training at some point in your career. I think we all have. And there's a reason why they are partially helpful, but not entirely. And that is because they oftentimes don't take into account the, the vast differences between personality types. There are 9 of them. And as a result, there are 9 different styles of communication. And so through this video series, we're going to walk you through step by step how each type prefers to be spoken to and the style in which they speak as well. As you learn this tool and as you use this tool, you're going to find your effectiveness in communication increase, and also the sense of that flow between you and your team members will also be better. You can imagine that with 9 different personality types, there are at least that many different styles of communication. No wonder we often misunderstand each other. Well, through the lens of the Enneagram, we're going to take a look at how types speak and how they like to be spoken to. Let's take a look at the type 1. The type 1 is direct. Let's get to it because we're in the mode of always improving ourselves and the world. At least that's how they see things. They also want to know, what are we here to do? So they're going to look at both the content and the style. What is it that we're talking about? Make sure that we're talking about things as correctly as possible. And then also, what is the style of communication? Make sure that we're doing that well. And how they like to be spoken to is much in the same way. Tell me, be direct with me. Tell me what needs to be fixed, what needs to be improved, so that way we can get back to making the world a better place. Let's take a look at the type 2. The type 2 will oftentimes pepper in conversations, relationships, and stories about themselves in relationship with other people, because connection is priority. People are the priority. They will also speak in ways that are complementary. They will give you what they also hope to receive at some point, which is that they see you, they hope to be seen. They care about you, they hope you care about them. And they appreciate you, and they hope that you appreciate them. How they like to be spoken to is kindly and thoughtfully. Do you understand how your words can impact me? They will also want to know a little bit about you. Open up, share a little bit about you, and that helps them to feel like they have a connection. Let's take a look at the type 3. The type 3 intuits the ways other people want to hear things, and so they will speak in a presentational way. And as a success-oriented type, they will pay attention to things like goals and plans and achievements. And so that is their style of communication. The way they like to be spoken to is also clarity. What is it that you are asking of them, but what is the finish line? What is the goal line that they can cross? Secondly, they will want you to get to the point very quickly. And thirdly, they would like to be seen. And so see them and see their accomplishments, which is enormously helpful to their sense of self-worth. Let's take a look at the type 4. The type 4 style of communication can feel to others like they are meandering. And there's a reason for that, is because they tend to think in terms of stories, relationship, connection, idealism, romance, and none of those have a straight line from point A to point B. Secondly, they might reveal a little bit or a lot about themselves as an attempt to see if you will reciprocate. Thirdly, they will ask questions to see if you will share a little bit more about you. So the ways they like to be spoken to is for you to open up about your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities. Secondly, is to speak positively to them, because this gives them fuel. And thirdly, not to try to fix them, even though they share sometimes their problems and their struggles, but just to be a good listening ear. Let's take a look at the type 5. Type 5 style of communication can be with very few words or with many, depending upon the subject, and also depending upon whether you demonstrate interest or not. Secondly, they tend to speak in terms of facts, and they would like to establish that as the basis for anything. Thirdly, they will tend to be unemotional in the ways that they communicate. The way they like to be communicated to is without intensity or demand. They also like for people to speak in plain and factual ways. And thirdly, to show interest in them and in what they are sharing with you. Let's take a look at the type 6. The type 6 style of communication tends to be context-based. And so they will oftentimes say, it depends. Secondly, they may use lots of words because they think of lots of different things that may need to be said, and you need all of this information because that is also what they feel they need. Thirdly, they will anticipate, and oftentimes anticipate what you might say or what someone else might say. The way they like to be spoken to is with a warm tone. They're very tone sensitive. They're aware of all of that and it affects them. Secondly, they want to use or want you to use few words and to get to the point very quickly. Thirdly, they like to feel supported in that dialogue. So the way you speak to them is very important for them to feel as if you've got their back. Let's take a look at the type 7. Type 7 style of communication will tend to be very enthusiastic, very positive, full of energy, oftentimes lots of ideas, and talking about things that are fun or interesting to them. The ways they like to be spoken to is for you to begin with the conclusion or the end in mind. Begin with the 30,000-foot view, the big picture, and then work yourself down from there. The way they also like to be spoken to is for people to be positive and solution oriented. Even when there's a problem, is to approach it with a light touch. And thirdly, is for you to be open to hearing their ideas and to brainstorming on the spot with them. So let's begin with the type 8. The type 8 is the one that is the most direct of all 9 types, and they tend to speak in absolutes and with authority. And the reason for that is because direction is better than indirection. This is not a closed door to conversation. This is an invitation to let's go, let's move, let's talk about this. Secondly, they like to be spoken to much in the same way. Be direct with me. Challenge me. Don't challenge my motivations, but challenge what I'm saying. And then lastly, they don't want anything hidden from them. So tell me, lay it all on the table, and that way we can deal with it. So let's take a look at the type 9. The type 9 is the type that tends to bring in other people's perspectives. So they will communicate that way. And that is because they are more other referencing than they are self-referencing. Secondly, they're going to couch things because they don't want to offend. They don't want to create tension between themselves and you. And they will meander a little bit. Thirdly, they will ask a lot of questions to see where you stand, where they stand, and how they can make sure that they keep that balance in the relationship. How they like to be spoken to is calmly. They want you to ensure that you bring in the perspective of other people. Don't walk by that, don't ignore that, and then give them time to process.